All right, what is going on, everybody? We got some All-Star weekend stuff to talk about. The reserves were announced last night. We have some games to talk about from last night as well. One really, really good game, one not so good game, but we'll talk about them nonetheless. I spent all morning before hitting record on this video trying to think about how I wanted to construct this video. And I came to the conclusion that I should probably talk about the All Star stuff first, because that's a little more interesting than the games were last night. Obviously, Rockets versus Grizzlies was superb. It was very good. Um, Hawks versus the Cavs was all right. Um, but I think the All Star stuff is top tier. That will get first billing today. So if you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have your own opinions, comment them down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. And yeah, we're just gonna hop right into it. We got the reserves for the Eastern and Western Conference announced last night. A lot of first time All Stars. Surprisingly, I voted some of these guys as starters, but I'm happy I had my eye on these guys. Um, and they were picked just for the All Star team in general. I feel like that's a tiny feather in my cap. Picking out some first time All Stars, some young All Stars always feels good to do that. I always like to be on the cutting edge of um, great players, good players, um, and try to be on the up and up. Anyway, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. Um, the first time All Stars are both in the East and Western Conference, so that is very fun. First up will be the Western Conference. In no particular order, just gonna go through the names. Um, Anthony Davis from the Lakers, Anthony Edwards from the Timberwolves, James Harden from the Clippers making his return to the All Star game, his 11th appearance, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies back in the All Star game. Um, Now we get three first time All Stars from the Rockets, one of my favorite players, Alperen Şengün, a big center from Turkey, um, from the up and coming, or I shouldn't even say up and coming. They're here, and they're doing good. They're doing great. Um, Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder, first time All Star, and of course, it would not be an All Star game heading into this latter half of the decade without the French sensation Victor Wembanyama from the Spurs. Um, I'll give my thoughts at the end. Let me just get through these. Let me get through these, and then we'll nitpick and stuff. I'll read the whole teams as well. These are just the reserves, like I said. From the Celtics, your reigning Finals MVP, um, from the championship Celtics, Jalen Brown. From the Pacers in Indiana, Pascal Siakam, making his return to the All Star game after last year, um, after not making it last year. Darius Garland from the Cavaliers, making his first appearance from the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham, one of my favorite players again. Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Um, from the Bucks, Damian Lillard, and first-time All-Star from the Miami Heat, Tyler Hero. Um, I would be lying if I said I wasn't shocked by some of these names, but when you read the names that people think got snubbed, or they just think they should have been on this team, on either team, more than some other guys that were mentioned, there is some gravity to that, but I'm going to read the names of some snubs, some names that people, some players that people think should have been on here in a moment. But I think all these guys deserve it. I think a lot of these guys, when I looked at my list for All Stars, I also voted Jalen Williams. I also voted Tyler Hero. on my ballot, on my personal ballot. Um, so I have a connection to these guys because I felt like they deserved it anyway. That's just me. Um, just to read you the full teams very quickly. Um, for the Western Conference, Nikola Jokic, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Sengun, James Harden, Jalen Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, the Anthony Davis spot could be open um, because he is out with that abdominal strain. He's out a week. He will be reevaluated in a week. The All Star game is coming up very, very quickly. It will be upon us. Not this week, but the week after, the weekend after, I should say. So somebody might slide in for him. You also have Alperen Sengun out. He was out last night when the Rockets played the Grizzlies. So we will see. You might get some. They might still get the accolade, but they might not play in the game. That is something to watch for. And we'll move into the Eastern Conference um, in no particular order. For the East, your All Stars are Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Tyler Hero, Cade Cunningham, Damian Lillard, Jalen Brown, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Pascal Siakam. I don't think there are any injuries on this side. Hopefully, there won't be any in general when we get to the game. But this is a pretty interesting team just by itself, or pretty interesting group of players, I should say, because they're not going to play East versus West. There's the new format for this game, so this is just a whole pool of players, but they're still voting by Eastern and Western Conference, and then they'll all go to different teams and that sort of stuff. It's very confusing. I have a video on it if you want to check it out. I've plugged it enough. I feel like I've plugged it enough at this point. An interesting conversation has come up in regards to what really dictates a player making an all-star appearance. Because some of the people that were snubbed um, don't have the best records, or they haven't played enough games, in my opinion. That's not a credential to make the game to have played enough games. Um, but it's just something of note that I think people do think about. Is this person actually going to play in the game? Um, some names. Um, we'll go in reverse order. We'll go for the East this time. Some names that did not make it. I repeat, did not make it this year for the East. Trae Young, former All Star. LaMelo Ball, former All Star. Yeah, he made the All Star team. Tyrese Maxey, former All Star. Franz Wagner, I don't think he was an All Star ever. And Tyrese Halliburton, former All Star as well. Um, I have some very strong opinions about some of these guys. Trae Young, he had some opinions himself. He said on Twitter, this is I believe even after the game they played, um, it's no longer being snubbed, it's getting trade, quote unquote. That's TRAED at this point. Sorry to my fans, it'll change eventually. All right, talk soon. Um, and one of the replies I saw to that was, "You was on a 7 game losing streak." And that pretty much sums it up about Trae Young. Um, I I don't think I don't think losing games should matter that much, but if you're just like a perpetual loser, like dude, come on, like some of these guys deserve it more. And granted, like you can go through this list and say in the Eastern Conference, like well, Cade Cunningham's team isn't having the best year. Tyler Hero's team isn't having the best year. But like, I believe it's better to have fresh faces than just the same guys. Give somebody else the nod, I guess. That isn't the right way to think about it, but like maybe they'll bring something different to the game. You know, like Tyler Hero, Cade Cunningham, like Evan Mobley, they're just gonna be happy to be there. You know, I I I think sometimes we get stuck in this thing of like, well, this guy should have made it because of X, Y, or Z. I can't get behind rewarding you for losing. I just can't get behind that. Now, the guys I mentioned, uh, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero, their teams are bad, but they're first time All Stars. So it kind of gets a little past like, oh, you're doing something incredible on a bad team. Here you go. We've seen Trae Young do incredible things on bad teams. Guess what? It's not incredible anymore. You're just putting up numbers on a bad team. So either make your team better or I don't know, like go to a different team and get more votes. You know what I mean? Like, dude, come on. Um, Tyrese Maxey injured, team's absolutely garbage. Um, I don't know if he deserved it. Maybe. Franz Wagner just hasn't played enough, and I think there are just way too many forwards since we still do have to vote two guards and like three forwards. I don't think Franz was getting in on this, personally. Because what do we have? We got one, two, three, four, five. Yeah, he wasn't made. There are six. There are six forwards on the Eastern ballot. You weren't making it. I'm sorry. Tyrese Halliburton. Same thing with Trae Young. I sometimes people just want new faces. And just so for those people who don't know, the reserves are voted on by the coaches. So if the coaches have different standards, I guess, or they probably should have different standards than the fan vote, which the fan vote is for the starters. The fan vote is a majority of the vote for the starters. There's also media, players, and coaches that all vote on that, but the majority of the pie is fans. And I think the coaches don't want to see some BS in the game. They rather vote somebody in that deserves it. Um, and the last one, Lamelo Ball for the Eastern Conference, who did not make the game. I have so many thoughts on Lamelo. For one, he's injured again right now. For those who did not know, but also his fans do nothing but bitch and whine. Why didn't he make the game? He had the most fan votes. Da 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 da. He's better than this guy. He's better than that guy. Hey, I'll say this. I'll say two things. One, if you want your guy to start in the All Star game, guess what? You have to vote for him. You have to vote for him. Like that. That's the reason why Steph Curry's in the game. He's not at his peak anymore. He's not. His team isn't the best. But guess what? His fans went out and voted for him. Same thing with LeBron James. Guess what? His team isn't the best. He's not at his peak anymore. His fans voted for him. If LaMelo fans want LaMelo to be in the game as a starter, not even just be in the game, just as a starter, yeah, you got to go to the polls. You got to go to the polls. You got to get on your phone. You got to get on your iPad. You got to get on your laptop. You got to do it, man. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's how it works sometimes, and we're gonna get into some of that a little bit later. But like, I don't like this thought of like, oh, he's better than this guy. Well, he probably is. But guess what? He's hurt. His team sucks, and you guys didn't vote for him enough. Even though he did have the most votes from the fans, you need to go a little harder. You need to go a little harder. That's all. That's all. That's all. All right. Enough doing that. Enough of that on Lamelo Ball. Let's get into the West, the guys who did not make it, notable guys who did not make it. Um, Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, both from the Kings. Very up and down season. I don't think anybody was impressed with either of their play throughout those long stretches of losing. They've turned it around recently, but I assume these votes were taken somewhat uh, a bit ago, so they did not get in. Kyrie Irving, I will give Kyrie some credit. He is trying to carry this Mavericks team without Luca, but it just hasn't looked good. Team sucks. Norman Powell. Norman Powell is a very interesting one because he is essentially the most consistent player on the Clippers, and he's improved so much. I think he's jumped 10 points um, in scoring. He's jumped 10 points in scoring after Paul George left this offseason, this last offseason. Very weird. I think I think if Anthony Davis isn't gonna play, or somebody's not gonna play in this game, and they need an injury replacement, I, I think Norm might get it. There's a conversation for Norm to get that injury replacement spot. And the last guy, Devin Booker, team has just been so up and down. Um, you guys are lucky you got Kevin Durant with how bad you are. I'm talking to Suns fans. Um, I don't know. I'm a Devin Booker fan. I have a Devin Booker jersey, for God's sakes. But he didn't even pop into my mind when I was voting. So that tells you how much of a fan I am. But that tells you how much he's on my mind this season. That he's not doing anything spectacular, and his team is kind of just okay. Um, I do want to read a quote from Devin Booker. I do want to read a quote from Devin Booker from a couple years ago. Um, this looks like it was a handful of years ago, like a bunch. I'm talking like maybe 6 years ago. But I think it's important to read. Um, and I quote from Devin Booker: "It was a goal of mine, but this just reproves the point of the NBA is different than the NBA I fell in love with. All the best players made the All Star game, and now it's just an entertainment, drama, and political league." End quote. Again, this is from a few years ago. This is not about this year's All Star game. This was he looks really young in this video, but um, I wanted to bring this up simply because I will agree. Um, a lot of this stuff, um, especially in inner NBA circles, like when it's the coaches making teams and such, it's it is political. I will agree with that, but I think the coaches do a better job of rewarding newer players. You know, I think they realize talent more than the fans can realize the talent. Um, I mean, you look at Alperen Şengün, Jalen Williams, like guys who weren't touted as, oh, they could be an all star. Um, they have the coach's attention. You know, obviously Victor Wembanyama, first overall pick. Everybody knew he was going to be good. He was going to be an all star. Tyler Hero, I don't think anybody ever thought he'd be an all star. Um, Evan Mobley, I think he had it somewhere. He was in that galaxy or in that region of being an all star. I didn't think he'd be an all star this early. I think he's been in the league a few years now, but the team success means a lot. Team success means a lot. It means that you have a lot more eyes on you, a lot more people watch you, and when people watch you, they see how great you are, and that goes for coaches, fans, and people will vote for you. Um, yeah, and to to Devin's point here, um, it is an entertainment factor. I mean, all these guys are entertaining, but like LaMelo Ball. I hate to use the word shot chucker. He's a shot chucker on a bad team, and he's always injured. Like nobody, nobody wants to watch that. But I'll say this: who also was considered a shot chucker and was on a bad team, putting up bad numbers. Devin Booker, and you know what? He made the All Star team. He broke through, and now he's an All Star. He's been to the finals. He has a couple gold medals under his belt. Like you got to start taking this shit seriously. I'm not just speaking to Lamelo. I'm talking about any young guard that thinks they deserve to be this or that. You got to earn it. You just don't get it because you're a fan favorite. You get it because you earn it. You know. Um, that's really it about the All Stars. This video is gonna run long, but I don't care. It's the last video of this week. Um, let's um let's hop into these games real quick. I'm really feeling. I've never done this. I really just want to skip over Cavs Hawks. Um, uh, let's see here. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. All right. We are going to talk about both games. I do want to talk about Grizzlies Rockets first, um, and then we'll touch a little bit on Cavs Rockets or Cavs Hawks. Pardon me. Um, we'll do that at the end though, so we can just get through the stats and the top notes here. Um, First of note, about this Memphis Rockets game. Um, a lot of a lot of grittiness. Both teams really gritty. The number one thing that everybody's talking about was how the refs almost ruined this game. Um, I this is why it's such a pleasure to watch this game and talk about it. Um, because the I was watching the end of this game, and I was saying, "What the hell is going on?" Um, for those who did not watch, I will sum it up very quickly. Um, Towards the middle to end of the third quarter, the Rockets and the Grizzlies started going bucket for bucket. They started going back and forth and back and forth. 2 point lead, 3 point lead, 1 point lead. They started just really going back and forth, bucket for bucket, three for three. Some great defense. The refs were doing an okay job. Um, and then, oh man, I have the clip somewhere. I can give you an exact timestamp. Hold on. All right, I can't find it. I think it was the last minute, maybe seconds of the game. Um, it was a 1 point lead for the Rockets, and the Grizzlies get a great stop, and their rookie, Jalen Wells, gets it. He gets past the half court line. He looks like he's gonna go for it and throw it down, and the Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins is motioning his team to run. He's motioning, like moving his hand around. And I guess I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna say this. The dumbass, the ref. I don't know what in what world motioning your team looks like calling a timeout, but the ref I guess thought he was calling a timeout and blew the whistle, and the bucket that Jalen Wells just scored did not count. Um, the Grizzlies did end up winning this game. Let me just say that 120 to 119, Grizzlies W. Um, but it, I think Taylor Jenkins, the Grizzlies coach, is a bit over dramatic. But I actually felt bad for him, and I was like, hey man, I would have done the same thing. He got in the ref's face. He was like, you could hear him saying, "That's BS." Blah 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 blah. Da 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 da. This that and the third, and I was like, oh man, I feel that. I feel that complete misunderstanding, and the ref just threw up his hands. I don't know if the last minute report came out for that. I'd be very interested to see that how the refs come up with some excuse that It looked like he was calling a timeout because everybody watching it, even on the broadcast, Kevin Harlan, um, Reggie Miller, were like, it didn't look like he was calling a timeout. What were they looking at? You know? But the Grizzlies did pull out this game in somewhat spectacular fashion after being down a whole lot. Again, they started really making a run in the third. Um, some numbers for the Grizzlies, um, some notes and numbers for the Grizzlies. There was no um, Ja Morant, and there was somebody else who didn't play. Oh man, I feel like an a hole not remembering, but numbers for them. Jaren Jackson Jr. had 21, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Jalen Wells, their rookie, 11. Zach Edey, 5. Luke Kennard, 22. Luke Kennard hit some big shots during that back and forth, going bucket for bucket. Desmond Bain, um, 24. Didn't make a three. They didn't shoot the three well, but they made some big ones that counted. Luke Kennard and Santi Aldama both made some big ones. Brandon Clark with 13. Aldama with 15. Um, Funnily enough, I was watching the Bill Simmons podcast yesterday before the game, and he was talking about Jalen Wells, and I don't watch a lot of Grizzlies games, and I never really heard about Jalen Wells, and Bill Simmons was going on and on and on about how good this kid is, and you should watch him. You know, they usually put him on the other team's best swings. That's like the guard slash wing. You know, Jalen Brown type players. I was like, really? I was like, okay. And lo and behold, there he was playing last night, and I watched him very intensely. And he didn't have the best game, numbers wise, but his defense was A1, and I'll give him some credit on that. Um, Jalen Wells, I mean, but yeah, some numbers for the Rockets. I have some thoughts about the Rockets as well. Um, um, Ahmed Thompson, 21. Uh, I am requesting a spot in the Ahmed Thompson fan club if there is still room. I really like Ahmed Thompson. Every time I watch him, I'm like, oh, this I like this guy a lot. This guy's really good. Dylan Brooks, 22 in his return to Memphis. He fouled out though in the last couple minutes or even seconds. Steven Adams. There was no Alperen Şengün. There was no Jabari Smith. So Adams and Jock Landale both got bigger minutes. Um, they were huge in this game for the Rockets. I'm going to tip my hat to them. Um, Landale had 8 3 boards, but they were really fighting for those boards, and they made the Grizzlies work for sure. The rest of the starters: Fred VanVleet, 13. Jalen Green, 25. Um, these percentages outside of Ahmed, for the rest of the team, absolutely atrocious. I'm not even gonna read them, but just know there's single digit makes and there's double digit attempts nearing the teens to the 20s in here. Um, Tari and 13 points. Cam Whitmore 5. Jason Tate. Jason Tate came in and played some great defense. Um, and Tari came in and played some great defense as well. Um, really, really great game. Like even if you, this is one of those games where even if you watch the highlights do not do this game justice. Some team stats: Grizzlies had a better field goal percentage, um, upwards of 50%. Rockets shot a flat 40% from three. Rebounds were pretty close, almost separated by 10, but not even. Um, the Rockets had more offensive rebounds, uh, very close in the defensive rebounding categories. Um, Neither of these teams really conceded points off turnovers. Um, 6 for the Rockets, 11 for the Grizzlies. And yeah, those are the numbers. I want to talk about the end of this game very, very quickly. Um, it came down to the last shot for the Rockets. I think it was a 1 point lead. Yeah, it was a 1 point because that's what the game ended. It was a 1 point lead for the Grizzlies. And I was saying to myself when I was watching this game, Ime Udoka, the Rockets coach, I was saying, please, Ime, please, please don't give it to Fred VanVleet. Please don't give it to Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet has some of the worst clutch numbers this season. Clutch numbers are the last 2 minutes, what you do in the last 2 minutes. Um, he has some of the worst. And I thought it was just me when I watched these close Rockets games. I was like, damn, they give the ball to Fred. He sucks. And then the numbers have backed it up. Um, Fred VanVleet absolutely sucks on last minute shots, not last minute shot, clutch shots, just last minute 30, last 30 seconds, last whatever of the game. Absolutely sucks. And I was like, don't give it to him. Don't give it to him. Don't give it to him. Run something for somebody else. If you're going to give it to Fred, make it a fake action and then feed it into somebody. Feed it into Adams. Feed it into Thompson. Feed it into anybody. um, and they didn't do that, and they ran some BS 3 point play for Fred VanVleet, and he missed it. Of course, he missed it, right? Um, and that got me thinking. Um, the Rockets have come out and said, we want to see what we have with this team, and then this offseason we'll make a trade. Um, I think after this game in particular, because the Grizzlies are one of the top teams in the league, right? And they didn't even have Ja. They didn't have Ja, their main all star. Um, I think the Rockets should make a play for De'Aaron Fox. I don't think it's too early. Um, I was rationalizing this in my head even before this game. I was like, well, no, I can see where the Rockets are coming from. They want to wait and whatever, see what they got. Let's make the move now. Make the move now. The move's right here. I will talk more in depth about this De'Aaron Fox stuff. Another video coming up soon, very soon. But where's this? Yeah, the De'Aaron Fox list that he has, that teams he wants to go to if he's traded, is San Antonio and is Houston. And there's another team here. I'll tease the video here. We will not name the other team yet. And Houston. I think De'Aaron Fox on this Rockets team is great. Would be a great fit because the Rockets have been looking for a guy. Obviously, they're missing Shangun. They're missing Jabari Smith. But man, Fred VanVleet's on the hook. I think Fred VanVleet is on the hook for a bunch more money. I'm looking it up right now. He's on the books for a lot more money, and he's okay. But I feel like the timeline is so sped up. Um, that you should just go for it. Make the move now. I mean, you can wait for somebody else to become available, but then your money's gonna be tied up in these young guys when their contracts are up. Make the move now. Um, is this a team option? What is this? Club. Oh man, hold on. All right, I'm looking at Spot Track here. Apparently they've changed the term team option to club option. I was very confused. Fred VanVleet is on the books for next year. Um, on a team option. I'd say trade him now. He's making a bunch of money. You're not gonna have him as an asset forever. Just do the deal. I mean, you're looking at a guy in De'Aaron Fox whose career averages are 21, one and a half steals, um, 6 assists. Um, he's a high game player. He has a couple seasons here where he played less than 60 games, but the last 3 seasons he's played 70 plus. He's a reliable guy. I'd go for it because this Fred Van Vliet stuff can't go on anymore. This Fred Van Vliet stuff is I hate I hate to see Fred Van Vliet taking the last shot, man. I mean, like you could have given it to Jalen Green, but I get why you don't trust Jalen Green. Yeah, man. That's just my thoughts on that. Let's do Cleveland Hawks first. Just touch on some numbers. This was really a blowout game. Evan Mobley, 16, newly minted All Star. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt, both All Stars. First time the Cleveland Cavaliers have had 3 All Stars, or third time they've had 3 All Stars. Um, Darius Garland with 26, Donovan Mitchell with 24. Um, Off the bench, Jalen Tyson, 15, Georges Niang, 10, and a personal favorite of mine, my favorite white guy in the league, Ty Jerome, uh, 9, 4, 11 from field goal, 1 of 2 from three, 6 assists, wheeling and dealing, only 1 turnover. Um, for the Hawks, uh, your snubbed All Star Trae Young, 15 points. 15 points. Definitely a snub. Definitely a snub. Um, their rookie, Zachary Risachet, 30 points. Um, Aneka Kungwu, 14. Um, Off the bench, DeAndre Hunter, 25. Um, and this was pretty much a blowout. The Hawks gave the Cavs some fits. They went on some runs, but the Cavs were killing them. Um, they didn't kill them on the offensive boards, but on the defensive boards, the Cavs absolutely killed them. They had the exact same 3 point percentage, but where the Cavs really got in there was the just overall field goal, 58 to the Hawks, 54. Um, they both conceded a lot of points off turnovers. The Cavs had more fast break points. They had more points in the paint. And the biggest lead for the Cavs was 29. Cavs won the game 137 to 115. And that's it. That's the video. I knew this video would be long, but I'm glad I got through everything. Um, yeah, I think that's it. I probably should go over some of these games that are coming up, but you're not gonna hear from me till Monday. I will. There will be a video out this weekend, but I'm gonna pre-record that one. So yeah, let's just leave it at that. Let's get it under 40 minutes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. About all this stuff, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers.